idea. They had things that they did that I could see that worked, that I could apply as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this camera around, and if you're in landscaping, you can come up here to the front, and we'll talk to those folks, and then we're going to make sure we have time to introduce everyone as well. Okay. So landscapers to the front.
You're a landscaper.
So yeah, we get.
2 days.
Okay, all right.
So proximity lead into that, you know.
Competitors and proximity.
Okay. No other landscapers in the room? I thought we had.
Valerie.
Yeah, yes, please. Yeah, now, look, what I wanted to do, I wanted to bring up some people that we're all in the same world, and now you just got into this world, didn't you? What do you like about the world so far? Brand new to it.
People that help one another and inspire one another. Yep.
And what do you like about the greenery? And that's where you are, right?
I do. Yeah. I like that it's employee owned. So there are stock option opportunities, and everyone has an equal investment in the company being successful.
And what is your role there with the greenery?
I'm in business development.
Okay, so you're out having conversations with facility management folks, right?
I sure am.
Yeah. Now you guys maybe have been in the landscape world a little bit longer, right?
Over the years, yeah. Owning Capstone just the last 3 years, but been in and around it for many more than that.
Okay, all right. And what is it about landscaping that got you into it? What do you love about it?
What do I love about it? I honestly love so much that this is like a welcoming, healthy environment. I think we all see it, and sometimes we see landscaping as something that has to be done. You got to cut the grass. But the reality is that a well-manicured landscape is life-giving, and I think we all see that. We love the change of season. We see the flowers coming up, the daffodils, and we're like, man, that brightens our day. So for me, I love it to be able to tend to what's life-giving.
I love it. I love it. Why is it important to have a good-looking landscape, Paul?
It's aesthetics. I mean, it's the first impression in most places, most facilities, for sure. So, and it makes you feel good. I mean, there's a lot of positive energy that comes from a good landscape, you know, not just producing oxygen and the surrounding environments, but it's, you know, you've got executives or potential people coming in, potential clients walking up, and that's the first impression that they see. So, you know, it definitely creates a nice environment. And it's so interesting. So I'll share with the group, because obviously I'm here as a guest today, and I'm meeting my competitors for the first time in a couple days, and one of the common threads that we're all seeing and talking about is just the human factor and the humanity, and it's like, you know, what attracts you, like, you know, it's a passion for plants, a passion for what we do and keeping the environment good, but it's also a compassion and an empathy and bonding over just the human spirit of people getting together and employees. We have roughly 175 employees where I'm at, and I don't know them all by name, but I know a lot of them by name. So, you know, and the same thing goes for you guys. Like, you just know your people, and it's
a hands in the dirt business, right? A hands in the dirt business. Now, I'm sure some of our facility managers have quoted some landscaping through the years. Have you bid out any landscaping? And tell me about that process, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Anything come to mind specifically with landscaping?
Well, some of it is if you're going to self-perform or outsource it. And I had a facility that we mowed 55 acres every day. And we self-performed that. And it was a challenge to keep the good people and keep the staff, keep the equipment up. And eventually we went out for bid, and ownership decided to still self-perform. But
yeah, so that's interesting. Do y'all run into that? I know you're just getting. Do you run into that a lot? How do you handle that, Howard?
Yeah, I think exactly what you talked about. A lot of times the question of do you self-perform or do you sub it out has to do with labor. And I think in the landscaping industry for sure, but in really any trades or skills, it's harder and harder to find consistent, reliable, and knowledgeable labor. I think that's across the board, whether you're looking for HVAC, electricians, plumbers, but landscaping, I think, is an area where there's a lot of turnover. Yes. And I think as you guys as facility managers, the conversations we've had when we've had them with you is, well, we've got the equipment, maybe the mowers, things like that, but we don't have the people. And it's a constant question. Do we try to do this in-house or do we sub it out? And then when you sub it out, The question is, do you have the people as my sub to get the job done? And so it's a real challenge that we see often, not just in business, but also in government. I mean, we've seen local municipalities wrestling with, we have for years had our own in-house landscapers, but now we're going to have to sub out the maintenance of the government facilities because we don't find the people to maintain it.
Wow. Now, do you facilities managers, I know in y'all's world you have a lot of turnover, like you say, but for the HVAC folks, is it good to have the same technician? Do you like having the same technician every time? That's one of the things that we talk a lot about on FM Focus, because that's really the relationship. We have the sales folks, the dog and pony show, the pretty people, right? The communicators that come in and talk, and then what happens? Then you have technicians come in, they've got to do the work. So one of the things that Stormy Friday, I don't know if y'all know Stormy or not, but Stormy Friday with the Friday group, she's my co-host every Tuesday at 10 a.m., and we have conversations just like this. But that's one of the things that she talks about, is how she consults with facilities on how to make the right decision. And I'm sure it's things like, visiting some of not their good referrals, not the ones that we know are going to hit the home runs, but some of their customers, talking to their people, meeting the technicians, because that's when deals go sideways. The communication and all of that behind the paperwork, and then now we're involved with a vendor and we need to do something. If you're going in on a bid situation and you've got 2 or 3 competitors, how do you approach that, Howard?
Well, I actually like the competitors. To me, I think that makes a better decision for the end user. It also makes us as a team stay awake and be attentive to the details. Yeah. The value that I would say, if you're asking me how we would separate from our competitors, is we have the infrastructure. We're only commercial based, so we don't do any residential, only commercial based. We have the equipment and infrastructure as all the national brands, but we're locally family owned. So you were talking so much about communication and how do you get a hold of somebody when you need something. And for us, we have built our business, and this is what we would tell a prospective client, is when you need somebody, you don't want to have to go through 3 or 4 different levels. You want to push your phone and get an answer. You want to shoot a text message and you want to get somebody, and hopefully the same person. And that's where our strength is. But I enjoy the competition, because if there wasn't that, then that value may not be something that sets apart us.
No, I love that answer. It was interesting what he said. I call it the stiff arm. If we want to do business with everybody, we want to know, hey, I'm stiff arming the residential. I'm focusing on something, and knowing, knowing what we're looking for. They're going to know it when you see it. You're like, this job's for us. You probably have some jobs. You're like, this has got us all over it, right? Yeah. So. Now, just getting into this business, what is it that you think from a communication standpoint that's going to be important to help you make relationships?
I think specifically is being very sincere and genuine. So if you say something that, if you obligate something, just make sure that your behaviors match your words. And just really personalizing with your customers, just ensuring that you're not making it transactional. I think someone said that earlier, just learning them what's important to them and finding a solution to that.
I like it. All right, let's give these folks a round of applause. Thanks for coming up. Now, I didn't get a chance to talk to April, but April, you were at Milliken, who was big into the landscaping world, and then you went to AFL. Do they have a difference in the way that they view their properties and that sort of thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they view their properties entirely differently. Different companies have different values, and Milliken really did care about their community impact and the history of how their property was developed and how they wanted to keep that. AFL is where we're at in Duncan. Even though there's 8 locations, they're very manufacturing focused, and there's a corporate office there, but they're more interested in, that's not where they want to spend their money. They want to be presentable, but there's a cap to what they're interested in. So two different perspectives, and it's just a mode of operation of the leadership there.
So what has that been like? I mean, 2 great